They're beyond human, be built into play, to compete. You figured out what I'm talking about? Of course, it is the AI game bots. But we might be sleeping on one of the most valuable use cases yet. QA. In-game development, testing is a struggle. Whether you're a AAA studio or an indie team, the time to catch bugs, validate systems, or balance mechanics, oh my god, it's so brutal. But bots, they don't sleep. So a lot of us bot devs focus on competition, but those same bots can be used to break games on purpose. Test builds, uncover weird edge cases. That would take humans probably a lot of hours to find. So I gave this talk at XP Gaming Summit in Toronto. It's a game industry event for development and emerging trends, but my talk goes through conditional bots to reinforcement learning and how that can affect QA. And I brought some real examples from studios like Ubisoft and EA. And I even sprinkle a little bit of probots in there. I do this because what we do has the potential to impact the world around us. And doesn't always seem obvious, but to me, it's actually really important. So this talk is for you. If you've never thought about how your bot, the one you made to cheese matter opponents with, could actually help a dev ship a better game. Thank you very much. And it's Drekken, so don't worry, you got it the first time. Won't crucify him. He is still a fantastic MC, and he already warmed it up. I didn't get a chance to do the warm, but I was gonna say, how you all doing today? All right, there we go. We got the energy, we got the energy. Cool. So, all right, so anybody here in QA? Any hands? Okay, one. All right, so we got only one person in QA, that's fine. Anyone seen those articles about AI's taking our jobs and you're gonna get replaced? Anyone seen those articles now? Those dreadfuls, like they're taking all the white collar jobs. So as a guy who's making a presentation about AI and QA, I get this question a lot. Are you building AIs to replace us? And I'm here to tell you, we're not. We've already built them. So, and that's a good thing. And I'm gonna tell you why. So, with all the AIs and what's done, the game industry is at a stage, right? We got AAA, where we got huge scopes. These games are huge, and you have timelines that need to be made. Marketing's telling you, get it out the door as quickly as possible. And we got open world, and it's just not enough time to get it all. These games are fast. Humans cannot do it all. It feels daunting. Even though you got an army of QA ready. Those of you in indie, you got a different problem. Too few resources, not enough energy. You gotta choose, you gotta triage what's going out the door, right? But QA still gotta get done. 3 a.m., pizza boxes, coffee, too much coffee, but you gotta get that published because Steam's like, hey, what are you doing? So, I know that feel, and we're at this precipice because we gotta get QA is a very important part of gaming because gamers aren't gonna tolerate bad games. They ain't tolerating it anymore. No. And the backlash is fierce. Tell me you've heard the fierceness of when your game goes out the door and gamers are salty. Yeah, because that's how it is. They're expecting more of us to produce good games, right? And that's how it is. I'm gonna tell you a story. I'll tell you about a story about 2015, not exactly the year, but around that time, a 12-person team went on this ambitious journey to release a game. They wanted it to be the greatest space exploration game you could think of. Some of you already probably know what I'm talking about. And to do it, they wanted to do procedural general planets. 18 quadrillion. Do you know that number? Anyone know that number? I cannot even imagine what 18 quadrillion looks like. I think they made it up, but it's a real number because that's what they said of how many planets they got. So, how are you gonna check 18 quadrillion planets? What are you gonna do? You're gonna build a bot to go look for all these planets. They built a bot, space probe, to go search all the planets and check these planets. As they slept, the bot went and it explored the planets and took pictures and sent it back to the QA team, back to the team, to see if the planets, make sure that their procedural general was working as they expected it, what the planets looked like.
And Hello Games took these and they iterated on it. And they produced the beautiful planets of No Man's Sky. Now, there's some problems that came after it, and you all know those problems. But, and we're going to talk about it, because there's a weakness. My sweet space probe and our bots have a weakness. And we'll see if you all can figure out that weakness by the time we get done. But at the same time, they're ahead of the curve. Because we've come along. This is 2015 when this all happened, when they built Space Probe. And now we're where we are now. So fast forward to today. All right. We'll have, this is my bot. We'll see if it plays. Oh, so this is my bot. I created a bot named PigBot. And its primary job is to play one of the hardest games out there for competitive gaming, StarCraft 2. This bot's job is named after the coach player, Pig, who is a StarCraft 2 coach. And ultimately, when this bot's done, it will provide as a coach for players to play against who want to level up. But this bot is part of another group of bots that I run the tournament, ProBots. And ProBots is a competition full of bot makers. We run the best. Anyone see the show BattleBots? Anyone familiar with it? Think of that, but with AI bots just competing without the automated, completely automated. And we test to bring out what is the strongest bots that come out. And we use this technology that we use, or our skills and our different techniques, can be used to explore the games, to explore them, push them to the limits. Not only do we push our bots to the limits, we can push the games and their engines to the limits and explore. The same capabilities can be used to explore, victory. We can explore, explore how the games go. So let's talk a little bit about what QA and what studios are doing in terms of using bots and using AIs to explore. So you got a couple of options. If you're in a studio, you got a couple of options. You want to build a bot. Now you can go, you can go a very simple route of conditional. You can go conditional. A lot of bots, and if any of you have worked on NPCs, you may be familiar with conditional. You have your GOP, your goal-oriented action planning. You can with a bit of heuristics. Very simple, but to break it down, if-then statements. If this happens, then do this. And you can build a bot very simply in your studio to just explore and do this. A lot of bots are based in very simply that way. You can see this example here. There are a lot of tools and SDKs for you to play around with. Nunu is a company, that actually provides an SDK that you can load up and do a lot of natural language. You layer on top of an LLM like ChatGPT, which will do, as you can see, some reasoning. So you can enhance the conditionalness of a bot by giving it a little bit of reasoning. Right now it's playing Hogwarts Legacy, this bot. And so, and this bot is making it even more beautiful because it's playing it, it's reasoning it, and you can get your bot to kind of explore the game. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. There are a lot of platforms, and you can go right into Unity, and you can get a lot of access right there. That's a simple way. We'll let this little bot go through it, and we'll see if it's going to win. Let's see. Expelliarmus? No? Killing Curse? No. OK. All right. So you can go that route. Or you can go maybe a little bit the AAA route, where you build an entire team that focuses on, we can go your reinforcement learning route. So reinforcement learning is where, if you think of the conditional as like a script, reinforcement learning is like improv. This is where you let the bot kind of learn your game and you train it. And you use rewards. Negative, positive rewards. Positive, because it did something you wanted to do. Negative, because it didn't want you to do it. You didn't do what you wanted, and you train it, and you grow it, and you try to mold it. The thing about reinforcement learning, all the sauce, the secret spicy sauce in it, is how you sculpt your rewards. Oh. Ooh. All right, so, you'll train them, you tell them what you don't like, and if, you don't want it to do things, it will do bad things. You give it a cookie. And AIs love cookies. Problem is, though, they love cookies so much that they may not do what you want them to do. You can train them, have them. So what you do is you do a little bit of pre-training. This is just a little of an example. This is obviously not a layout, but like you train them, you get them to do with the positives and the negatives. And let's see, once you've done the training, you get it to go do your objective. And pet the little dog, pet the dog. Who's a good bot? Who's a good bot? Come on. And complete. So this is a little example. You train it, you grow it, but what you end up doing is you create a bot you can use for your QA. But they're greedy. They'll do what they want, and they can go off the rails. And they may not do what you like. So it comes into sculpting. An example of this would be you have EA, Seed, and then Ubisoft's LaForge, who are pretty much standalone to help develop. They developed a reinforcement learning, adversarial reinforcement learning for their game For Honor. And what you can do with that is use that reinforcement bot. They train 2 bots to essentially up the ante every time. So it would discover, before players got a chance to play it, combos, what's broken. I don't know if any of you guys are fighting game players, but they find out what's cheese, what's broken, what doesn't work, what's gonna body you too quick, what's gonna make the players angry because it's too overpowered. And they had these bots just incredibly increase over before players got a chance to play. So that's an example of how you can use reinforcement learning. Those are your 2 options. You can go the conditional SDK, bring it in-house. Then you have a reinforcement learning, maybe a standalone group. Then you have a 3rd option. You find a person that can help you. Call me. That's always an option as well. But AIs, really powerful things. They can work while you're sleeping. They can work while the team is working. But, and I said this before, they have a weakness. AIs can be 24/7. They can do all, they're really good. Really, really, really good at all the boring stuff. They do the clicking, they'll explore the maps, and they'll give you back the data. And I ask, one of the things that when it comes to AIs and what they can't do, what they are good at is all the boring stuff. And what it does is it alleviates those of you in the room to focus on things they're really, really bad on. Space Probe, or all the other bots are really bad at. They can't tell if a game's fun. They can't tell if a game is broken. They can't tell if it doesn't feel intuitive. They can't tell if it feels worth playing again. So when a bot is able to explore and expand, it frees you up. Frees you up so that you can focus on the best parts of making great games. Okay, thank you. Is there any questions, though? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh. That was the 5-minute, right?
Yeah, it's like Q&A.
Okay, cool.
Is this on? Everyone can hear? Cool. Thank you. I just got to say I love your energy. Your energy is like 10,000. I told y'all this room has the best talks.
I might be an AI. Who knows?
Please. Thank you. So yeah, we're gonna open up the floor for quick Q&A. We have about 5 minutes. Yeah, so quick Q&A. What's gonna happen is you'll ask the question, I'll repeat the question for the recording, and then you can answer the question. So I'll open the floor for questions now if you have any. Yep, go ahead.
By default, if you're starting to make an AI of this sort, a bot of this sort, how long do you think it will take for someone who probably doesn't have, he's learning how to make a bot, right?
Yeah.
So how long do you think?
So the question is, how long do you think it would take for somebody that's new, kind of learning about how to use these systems, to design one of these bots?
Sure. When it comes to conditional, fairly simple. If you have any kind of programming knowledge, you can do conditional. You can learn conditional if-then statements. I would say within maybe a month, 2 months. It all depends on how much background knowledge. If you have a lot of coding knowledge, background in maybe Python or any kind of coding language, you could probably bang it out in 30 days for a simple bot, for a very simple. Reinforcement learning, that might take a little bit. It's very obviously, if you're thinking about for yourself personally, if you want to explore it yourself, reinforcement learning is it's more resource intensive, like in terms of hardware and whatnot, but you can get a conditional bot up fairly easy with very little resources.
Awesome. Anything else?
Come on, I know you got some.
No being shy here. That's what I like to see. Yep, right over here. I'll get you next after, Alexi.
So I'm actually doing reinforcement learning for my Forex game.
Okay.
For the tactical AI, would you have any recommendation in that sense? So basically, like the way how units move, like what would you recommend? I'm on Unreal already, so.
Just so that I understand, I'm just going to repeat it back to me. Just give me a nod if I get the question, if I get the gist of what your question is. So he's just asking what you would recommend in terms of kind of like, I guess you could say like the ins and outs, if you will.
I guess the main question is about like how do you make agents cooperate?
Oh, multi-agent.
So yeah, the question and then apologies for that. The question is how would you make then agents cooperate with each other?
Okay, so you would probably want to, multi-agents can be a little complicated for me to explain right here on the spot, but okay. So you'll probably want to look into multi-agents, and I would start my research there with multi-agents. And there's without going into too much of the weeds and the nerdy stuff, there's a lot of pre-built stuff or a lot of pre-built models that you can work off with. I'm always a big proponent of working off the backs of giants. Don't invent, especially when it comes to reinforcement learning, do not invent anything yourself. Please don't do that. And I would recommend, honestly, look up for, the keyword you want to look for is multi-agents, and just pick a model that just to start with, play around. I like to start small personally and not go full RL with everything. You take a modularize, scope it out, and then try to get them to work individually. RL, like I said with the cookie thing, RL can really spin out really fastly because you think it's going to work the way you want, and they turn out to be a little weird. So scope it out, make it smaller, and I would start there.
Last one?
In terms of the QA, you want to write test cases, right? You're trying to get these bots to test parts of your game.
Yeah.
How do you actually collect all that telemetry and understand if the test case passed, failed? How are you pipeline?
So then the question is, how would you collect that telemetry to make sure that all of these use cases are actually moving accordingly?
That is a good question. And so, like I said, with so there are a couple of companies like Nunu AI and Modal AI that will give you dashboards, and you can help scope out your dashboards how you want to get that after your bot. But if you're doing, say a reinforcement learning, you have to build something out to be able to collect that data. We're in a very new area with this kind of stuff, and so there are only a few companies, and then maybe even myself in that space where you're going to have sort of a bespoke solution, or you're going to have something from Modal or whatnot, and they'll give you into your SDKs, and you can work with it and work with what they give you in terms of dashboards and data. If anyone wants to ask me questions of where these different softwares like Modal, Nunu AI, these people, they have kits you can use and bring them in. And I don't know, I'm not affiliated with them, but I admire their work in terms of the tools they give to developers. And I find them to be a lot more accessible because they don't really require any coding to be able to operate. It's very natural language, kind of like a ChatGPT layer on top of their bots. So they're an easy in if you want to if you want to dip your toes in and get it explored that way. But it's not, their stuff isn't full reinforced learning. To get the really valuable stuff is reinforced learning, obviously depends on your game, depends on the scope of your game. Because reinforcement learning they'll end up finding the things you didn't maybe think of.